An Islamic Center in Boca Raton, Florida, was originally a polling place for the elections, but city officials have decided that they will no longer allow it to be a polling place because citizens and residents in the area were complaining about it, simply because it's a mosque. Now, apparently, Suzanne Bucher from the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections said the following: "We have moved our polling location from the Islamic Center to Spanish River Library due to complaints from the public. I do not have any other comment." Now, the president of that Islamic Center says, "We're very happy to serve the community. Personally, me and my wife and all the kids, we vote at a church and we made friends there." The mosque also functions as a hurricane shelter, feeds the homeless, and even works with the Juvenile Justice Department. There's a rabbi who is friends of the mosque, which is awesome. And he says there's a lot of violent Muslims around, and we need to be aware of that, and we need to be on guard about that. But to suggest that every mosque is pure evil and every other religious institution is pure good is just not accurate, and it's prejudice, and it's wrong.
All right.
You get it, Rabbi.
Right. So they moved the polling place, by the way, from the Islamic Center to the Spanish River Library, which I'm not sure Republicans are going to be happier about. Now we're going to go vote with the Spanish people. Guys,
And it's
just
a library.
It's got facts in there and books. Okay. How many times do we have to say this? That's what would have been nice about the polling place is that it might have actually gotten some non-Muslims to interact with Muslims, so they'd realize that not every Muslim is a boogeyman. Oh, what if I have to go to a mosque to do voting? We go to churches and synagogues all the time to vote.
All the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to make an argument that we shouldn't go into any of those, great. I love it. I accept. Okay.
Yep.
But if we're going into others, it's not. Nobody's going to blow you up. But they are so filled with fear. The fear is oozing out of every part of them. That sounded weird. And so, they're like, oh, mosque, oh my God, the evil Muslims are there.
Like, what do you think is going to happen if you enter the Islamic Center? It must be exhausting to live with that much fear and paranoia, right? And I feel bad for the president of this Islamic Center because he's like, we like serving the community. He sounds like such a lovely guy, right? So lovely, in fact, that you have other religious leaders, participating in events at the mosque. So I don't know. It is what it is. This is the country we live in. This is in Florida, which doesn't surprise me. Florida is such a shithole in so many different ways.
Okay, so although I love that area, but I'll say one last thing about it. I at least got an ironic sense from this article because this news story is depressing. People hate each other, yada yada. But I got hope out of it, or at least for my own sense and my family and my friends, and I felt good. Why? Because I don't have to live in that fear. And imagine how much they have oppressed themselves. So the people who hate Muslims, Mexicans, black people, whatever it is, right? Women, whatever, they're like, in their head, there's monsters everywhere and ghosts and goblins. And they live among us, and they're in that mosque, and they're in that Spanish River Library, right? They're everywhere, right? I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm naive and I don't know that there are dangers in the world. Of course there are dangers in the world, and I don't go blithely walking into them. But I know what a real danger could be. Hey, kids, don't cross the street. There's cars. They might hit you and kill you. Right? That's a real danger. I'm not like, I'm going to go hug the car. Right? Of course there are real dangers, but I have not invented dangers to oppress myself.
Yeah.
So when Martin Luther King talked about liberating his oppressors, not just the oppressed, God, that's so deep. I remember the first time I ever read that, I was like, wow, this guy is such a better person than I am. It wouldn't have occurred to me to liberate my oppressors. It would have never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And so here, guys, I know you certainly, conservatives, right-wingers, you certainly don't believe this. But we're here to liberate you. No, I'm serious. I'm to liberate you from your irrational fears so that you don't stay in your home clutching your gun they're coming to get me, they're coming to get me. They're not coming to get you. Yes, you might get shot in a mass shooting. Yes, something terrible might happen to you. You might be in a car accident. But it isn't because they were all about to get you and they were all conspiring against you. It's because of rational reasons. We have dumb laws in place about how every maniac in the country can get a gun, et cetera, et cetera. We should go to do rational fixes for the things that are wrong. But the world is not filled with boogeymen whose specific job is to get you. Liberate yourself. Don't live in that kind of fear.